Hello. It has been so long. I cannot believe I'm making this video. I thought I would be done with YouTube just because of the path that my life has taken me. But I'm back. I couldn't resist. Something happened to me, which I'll talk about. I went to a certain screening last night, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to say I've been out of the game for about 2 years now, and a lot has happened. And I want to explain myself. I want to explain where I'm coming from. Because obviously you all know that the Snyderverse, that's really all I talked about, really all I cared about, because I love Zack Snyder movies, and I know a bunch of you guys do too. I love what he built within the DCEU. And of course, I wanted him to continue that path. But once the Snyder Cut came out, Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, it was such a sigh of relief. And I could finally take a breather, because I know a bunch of you and me, for those couple of years where that movie, we were trying to get that movie released, they were stressful. And they took a lot out of me. And every night I was thinking about that. I'd go to bed, and that's what I'm thinking about. Are we going to get to see this movie? Are we going to get to see this movie? We got to get this out. We got to get this out. It was on my mind all the time. And then it finally got released. And we saw what it was. We saw what it was meant to be. And it was glorious, obviously. It was so good. But then I was like, okay, we know what the next steps are. We know the next steps are to restore the Snyderverse. And we knew that was going to take a lot of work. But at that time, just had my second child, and I was feeling good. I was feeling relieved, and I was like, you know what? Let's get away for a little bit. Let's look at this from, let's not focus on this the way that we did for the last couple of years. And that's what I did, and it was great. It was good. But obviously something's missing. I feel like movies have been dying. The last good, especially the superhero genre in general, is definitely dying. There's fatigue there, but I don't think it's really fatigue. I just think it's the direction of these movies, and they're just being poorly executed. And again, I always say this: when you take a director like Zack Snyder and he gives you what I'm calling masterpieces, it's hard to live up to that. It's hard for people like me. I know, if you want to say, not the general audience, but certain people, they don't care about that. They just want fun. They want funny movies. They want good visuals. And of course, I want good visuals too. But even Zach was giving you the best visuals you were ever going to see. So yeah, it just wasn't doing it for me. I wasn't excited for any movies. Now, I was excited for the Batman, and that was the last good superhero movie that I saw. I'm a huge Batman fan, and I think Matt Reeves did a fantastic job with that movie. And the tone, the dark tone, the music, the score was just so good, so phenomenal. The acting was great. I love what they did with that character, with Robert Pattinson. But yeah, that was really the last good superhero movie that I saw. And just movies really haven't been doing it for me lately. But again, I've been watching from afar. I've been of course I'm still seeing what the movement is doing. And obviously the new push now is to sell it to Netflix, get Netflix to restore the Snyderverse. And hey, crazier things have happened. I don't think that's far-fetched. I really don't. In Hollywood, when people need money and they know that there is an audience out there that wants this, I can see, especially with Netflix, they spend cuckoo bucks every year on content. And I could see it happening. It would not surprise me if Netflix did, restore the Snyderverse. But on one end, I want to talk about Zack Snyder and his superhero movies. I think at the end of the day, and this is something else that I was working on too within the last couple of years, is just being appreciative, grateful for the movies that we did get from Zack. I mean, you're looking at 4 great superhero films: Watchmen, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's 4 films that Zack got to make, got to direct himself. And they're all gorgeous. They're all great films. I could rewatch those movies time and time and time again. Really, what other director can you say has made 4 superhero films, and if that, 4 fantastic superhero films. Really, the only director that comes to mind is Sam Raimi, which he just did Doctor Strange. So that would be his 4th movie that he's done, just like Zach. But I think that's something that we as a fan base, we need to understand, is that Zach was never going to be in control of all the movies. He can't direct every single movie. You know, Zach would have directed the Justice League movies, but then again, you would have had someone else that would have directed the Flash, just like it was now. The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, the Batman. Ben Affleck was, obviously was supposed to direct the Batman. And yes, things went a little haywire, and now James Gunn is in control of the DCU, and looks like he's trying to reboot. But we just need to be appreciative and grateful for the movies that we did get from Zach, and be happy that we get to watch those time and time again. And at the end of the day, I know it's easy for all of us to say, oh, if Zach would have just completed his Justice League movies, then we would be happy, right? Yes, we would be happy, but we would also be wanting more. And that's the problem, is that we always want more and more and more and more. So Zach would have completed his Justice League movies, and then the Flash could have reset the timeline and rebooted the DCU, if you want, at a later date, which I think was always part of the plan. But that never came to fruition. But at the same time, yes, Zach was never going to always be in control. Of course, he can oversee, he can do that. And we love Zach and we love his work. But again, we just need to be appreciative for what we got. I'm not saying it's the end of him. And that's the great thing, is Christopher Nolan is my favorite director. And this all started with the Batman trilogy that he put out. And then every movie he puts out, I'm excited for. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, his next movie he's coming out with is a movie about a guy creating a bomb. Any other director, I'm not even thinking twice about seeing it. Christopher Nolan, I'm ready to watch it because I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be executed. And that's the same thing we can do with Zach. Zach's next movie is going to be Rebel Moon. You know that movie's going to be fantastic. You love Zach's work? Boom, there you go. He's going to still direct. He's still going to give you great movies. So yeah, that's just another angle that I'm coming at. Just being very grateful for what we've got. And just, holding that near and dear to your heart, if you will. So now, with all that being said, I want to get into why I'm making this video. Last night, I saw a screening of The Flash. Now, The Flash is the latest movie to come out from what Zack built. So Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, and then after that, there hasn't been anyone from the Justice League. None of their movies have come out. There hasn't been a Wonder Woman. There hasn't been a Batman. Well, Ben Affleck's Batman. There hasn't been Aquaman. Now we know that's coming out in December. No Cyborg, no Superman. But so this is in a sense the next character that Zack, Ezra Miller is Zack's Flash. So I just love the character anyway. I know there's a lot of heat for this movie. I know with what Ezra did, I understand all that. But it's just the character in general. I love the Flash. I mean, all the characters in the Justice League, they bring so much to the table, and that's why I love the DCU. I keep on saying DCU. This is why I love DC characters. But yes, the Flash, I was very excited to see this movie. And yes, I got to see an early screening of it, and I have to talk about it. It just rejuvenated me. Again, I thought the whole superhero genre was dead. I was just you know what? This is my last hope. I watched Black Adam. I watched Shazam. Did absolutely nothing for me. And I'm just maybe I'm just over it. Of course, I love the Batman. I'm still going to see those movies. But maybe I'm not excited about this new, if you want to call it, James Gunn, reboot. I'm not excited for what he's bringing to the table. I think James Gunn's all right. But time will tell. I say that now, but then when you come out with a new Superman movie, come out with a new Batman movie, maybe it's really good. We'll have to see the trailers. Maybe I'll check it out. I'm just not sure. But again, saw The Flash, and it just rejuvenated me. It was fantastic. I have to give a lot of props to the director, Andy, however you say his last name, Muschietti. I think he did a great job. The score was all right, but I did like how they intertwined, the rock music. I thought that was cool. The visuals are fantastic. Yes, they're a little wonky in certain spots, but there's a lot of visuals. The different ways of him running, different visuals with him running was cool. And I know the big thing now is like, oh, does the Flash erase the Snyderverse? And this is something else I want to talk about. Nothing can erase the Snyderverse, even if in this movie they flat out said, we're erasing that whole timeline. It has never happened. Even if they said that, that does not matter. Okay? As a fan base, that does not matter at all. Because again, Zack still has his movie. Zack still has his timeline, if you will, his Elseworld story. And that's what the Snyderverse is now. It's an Elseworld story. So even if they wanted to say the Snyderverse is dead, he can still make his movies. It's that simple. But is the Snyderverse dead? No, it is not. And I've got to give props to Sil Abdul. I've been watching a lot of his videos. And yes, it doesn't erase the Snyderverse. And you'll see why when you see them. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but it was awesome. The movie is great. Just the way, the action sequences were so good. Again, the visuals are fantastic. Again, I know no one wants to really talk about Ezra Miller, but he did a great job. Very emotional in the role. A lot of crying in this movie, a lot. But I thought he did a fantastic job playing two different characters. I know I have heard recently that the director said that, he would never replace Ezra. And that's the interesting thing about this movie is that Ezra Miller is the connection to everything. Ezra Miller is the connection to the Snyderverse. He's the connection to the new DCU. So, in a sense, if this movie does good, you're going to have to, I shouldn't say you're going to have to keep him. Obviously, you can recast anyone you want. But if this movie makes over $1 billion, which from watching it, I think it's going to. Nostalgia is huge in this movie. A lot of Michael Keaton Batman fans were at the screen that I went to. So, yeah, I think this movie's going to make a lot of money, and then that's going to put them in an interesting pickle as far as the whole Ezra Miller situation. James Gunn can still do his DCU reboot whatever. It makes sense as to what direction he's going to go in with this. This Flash movie kind of sets that all up, which doesn't surprise me. I thought that was the whole goal of it anyway. After all the reshoots and all the shit that's been going on the last couple years with this movie, but it's finally coming out. It'll be out in a couple weeks. Please check it out. Ben Affleck's in it. He's got a great sequence in the beginning of the movie. There are a bunch of surprises, bunch of cool surprises, and I thought they did those very well. The cameos are fantastic. And, there's one at the end. It's not even a quick cameo. This guy actually, gets to show off his skills as a certain character, and that was cool. I really enjoyed that. Fans really were hyped about that. When you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Again, I'm not trying to spoil anything. So something else with this movie I wanted to talk about is this movie should definitely be rated R. I'm telling you, a lot of blood, a lot of cursing. Damn near you get to see Ezra Miller's front piece. I mean, yeah, there's a scene where he's naked and you see his butt a lot. But yeah, blood, partial nudity, a lot of cursing. I'm surprised that it is an R. If I had to say anything negative about the movie, again, with these movies, I want them to be serious. So the jokes, sometimes there's a little too much with that. But at the same time, that's like Ezra's character. That's his Flash. And that's something that we need to understand in Zack's Justice League, when you watch the movie, Ezra is not saying the comedy relief, but he is the goofy young one that's always saying goofy stuff. And that's the thing is so you have Man of Steel. Man of Steel was a very serious movie. BVS was a really serious movie because you have Batman. Batman, he's dark. He's in a cave with Alfred. That's it. He's just living a very dark and gloomy life. And then Justice League, you're introducing more characters. And Flash, a lot of the characters in the movie are, they are dark. Cyborg, he's not happy. Wonder Woman, not so much. But then even Aquaman, because they're kind of like loners. But then you have the Flash, who's just goofy. He's always joking all the time. So that kind of translated into this movie as well. But I didn't mind it. It's like that's the direction they were going into. And this is what these directors do. Every director's different. So that's, they wanted to make this a little more funny. I had some parts that made me laugh that were goofy. I mean, they weren't they weren't child jokes. So I can handle that when the jokes are a little more mature. But no, overall, I thought it was fantastic. I definitely am going to watch it again. I can't wait to watch it on my TV at home. Because at the screening I was in the very front row, horrible seats. I was breaking my neck to watch it. So I was watching the movie at an angle that pissed me off because I wasn't seeing it like frontal. But no, I'm definitely going to check it out again. Guys, I'm hoping to make more content. We'll see how that goes. But I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be talking about these movies again. The Flash, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, honestly, we're spoiled. We have to understand that. Getting these movies from Zack have been, they've changed our lives. We know that. So, happy to be back. Subjective reviews coming at you. I will catch you guys on the flip side. See you.